All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Today's shir should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gavriel Tzvi, and the Refuah Shalema, our friend Meshulam ben Sarah Rachel, and the Refuah Shalema Miriam Bas Sarah. So we started yesterday. We started with the beginning of Shaar Habitachon, and where it starts out in the Pasicha, the introduction, it gives us the 10 different benefits of having bitachon. And it starts off with 10 spiritual benefits of bitachon. And we started off yesterday talking about the first of the spiritual benefits, and it goes in a little further as to understand this concept a little bit before we go on to the second one. He says, another thing a person might rely on instead of trusting in Hashem, and the concept over here in the first of the benefits is when you trust in Hashem, you don't trust in anybody else or anything else, that Hashem is there to protect you and won't leave you. And we were talking about that when somebody trusts in something or somebody else, that Hashem takes a step back and either removes himself completely or partially from this person, because that person is kind of showing that he doesn't have any bitachon on Hashem, that he needs this other thing or this other person in order to help him through this. And so another thing a person might rely on instead of trusting in Hashem is ve'im yiftach b'roiv asrei. Similarly, if a person places trust in his abundant wealth. So until now we spoke about that he trusts in something else or somebody else, and now we're talking about if somebody puts his trust in his money that he has, in his wealth that it's in his bank account, he will learn that his trust is very much misplaced. Yosar mimenu v'yishaya luzulasai. One way he may learn that his trust has been misplaced if he trusts in his wealth is that wealth may be taken from him and left for others to enjoy. And so that the wealth might not be here anymore. And so that's one way we might learn that putting your trust in your wealth is not a good idea. K'moshe Amar HaKasav, it says in the pasuk, Asher yishkav v'lo yasef einov pakach ve'einenu. The pasuk says a rich man may be bedridden but not gathered in to die. When he opens his eyes, it is gone. The pasuk and the mashal that he's bringing over here is a very rich man. He has bitachon in his money, in his funds. But maybe one day he gets sick. And then by the time he's out of bed and he gets better, his money's no longer there anymore. Somebody swindled it out of him, or something else happened while he was gone. He wasn't paying attention to his business and he lost all his money. And so putting your trust in the wealth that you have, he's trying to show over here that's a very misguided trust. And I just want to point out that in the introduction over here, he brings a lot of different psukim to bring proof and to bring the analogies that he's bringing in order to understand the 10 different benefits of bitachon. And he goes further to say, Va'amar al tiga lahashir mibunascha chadal. It says in the pasuk also in Mishlei, do not weary yourself to become rich. Refrain from relying on your own understanding. That Va'amar hasarif einecha ve'einenu. And the next pasuk it says, the reason for this is you cast your eyes upon your wealth and it is gone. For it makes itself wings like an eagle, it soars into the heavens. He's trying to show over here, the psukim bring over here different proof that when you put your trust in the money that you already have, that money can be gone tomorrow and then you have nothing left to trust in. And so it's something that you should never do, is trust in something that you already have. That the trust is trying to show us that the trust that you should have is only in Hashem. The same one who gave you this wealth is the same one who continued to give you the wealth. Va'amar b'chatzi yomav yazvenu u'v'charyasa yeh lavel. Another pasuk it says in Yirmiyahu about one who fails to rely on Hashem and instead amasses wealth unjustly. In the middle of the days it will leave him, and at the end he will be considered a scoundrel. The same way you can occur to one who places trust in his wealth instead of Hashem. That the way he got this money was through unjust ways. And so what happens is at the end, he has nothing left of the money once he loses it, and the only thing he's left with is a title that he's a dishonest person, that he's a scoundrel, like it says over here. Alternatively, even if the person who places trust in his wealth does not lose it, even if, let's say, he doesn't lose his money, he put his trust in it but didn't run away from him, the benefit he expected to derive from it may be withheld from him. Meaning he says, I need all this money so that I could buy myself something nice, maybe that time comes and he's not able to utilize that thing that he wants to buy. So yeah, what good does the money do for you sitting in the bank account if you can't even use it? What's if you're sick and now all of a sudden you're a millionaire, but you can't talk, you can't move, you're bedridden for the rest of your life? Kasha Amar Chacham, v'lo yashlitanu elakim lechem imenu. The wise man Shlomo Melech said in Kehelas, and this is a misfortune I have observed. A man to whom Hashem has given riches, wealth, and honor, and he lacks nothing that the heart could desire. Meaning that this person, he's trying to say, is that Hashem gave him anything, but he lacks nothing that the heart could desire. I mean, he doesn't lack anything that he wants from a worldly matter. Yet Hashem did not give him the means to enjoy it. In such a case, the money will remain with this wealthy man only as a deposit that he safeguards from his mishaps until time when it shall be turned over through Hashem's providence to someone who deserves it more than he. That sometimes we're going to see as we go through Shaar Habitachon into the next parakim, that sometimes Hashem gives someone wealth and the person is just being a shomer. He's just holding on to it for someone or something, for some other reason. And we talk about it later. We've spoken about it in a previous year that the person holds on to it for his yarshim. He holds on to it. Maybe he'll lose it in a business deal and go to somebody else who deserves it. But such a person, he might be rich, but he's just holding on to it for the meantime. It's just a bank account, and it might leave him at some point. Shlomo Melech said, but to the sinner he has given the urge to gather and amass, that he may give it over to one who is pleasing to God. The person who does averos, Hashem might say, yeah, go ahead, forage, collect, become very wealthy, but at the end you're going to do all this for somebody else. You're going to make all this money, you're going to collect all these assets, all these worldly possessions, and at some point I'm just going to take it from you, I'm going to give it to somebody else. You do all the hard work. Trust and believe in only in your wealth and your assets. And I'll show you who's the boss later on. And it also says in the pasuk, he may prepare, but a righteous man will wear it, and a virtuous man will apportion his money. This may occur because the one amassing the fortune believes in his own talents and does not acknowledge that Hashem is the source of his success. And worse yet, the money that one amasses in such a way may become a source of harm to him and of a spiritual destruction of his soul. We will see that later on. There's some different ways that money actually hurts a person. The pasuk says in Kehelas, there is a grievous misfortune which I have seen under the sun, wealth hoarded by its owner to his testament. Thus, in one way or another, a person who believes in the power of his own money, his wealth, his assets, will be prevented from enjoying its benefits. This is because faith in one's wealth is an abandonment of bitachon in Hashem. And that if you put your trust and your belief and everything in just your assets and your own capabilities and your money, then Hashem is going to leave you. He's not going to say, no problem, trust in that. And you're going to be just like we spoke 2 days ago, about the broken cistern that can't hold any water. At the end of the day, your thought process is broken. And you can't guarantee any kind of future prosperity. And to summarize on this first of the spiritual benefits, the first of the spiritual benefits of bitachon is that one attains the serenity of a servant relying on his master, as we spoke in the first year, is that the person who is a servant relying on his master, he doesn't have to look anywhere else. His master takes care of him every single day. His food, his sustenance, he just has to do his master's will. And is attached to Hashem as a servant must be attached to his master. If, however, one relies on another entity, whether it be a false god or a human being or one's own strength or his wealth, he's abandoning his source of all good for just like we said, as a broken cistern cannot hold water. In that case, when someone believes and trusts in something other than Hashem, Hashem withdraws or reduces his providence in this person, and the person is liable to meet with failure or misfortune. This concludes the first of the 10 of the spiritual benefits that we have by acquiring and keeping and really believing and fully living a life full of bitachon. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and I love you all.